You ready?
I'm ready, man.
We're live.
We're live.
We're live.
Both cameras. Okay.
Do we have a talk point or we're just
Well, so
in?
my talking point, this is something that I watched there's a thing on Netflix now. It's called Social Dilemma. Have you seen this?
I've heard of it, but I watched like the first 10 minutes and it actually bugged me.
It's actually mind-blowing as someone who like works with, like, I'm on DMs for work, you probably are too.
Yeah.
Email even. Like going as far as email to say, I mean, this thing shows you the addictive nature of your phone, of your computer, everything. So like basically the backstory of it is they're interviewing people from, you know, ex-employees of Google, Facebook, Twitter, everyone. Basically the design teams at every single one of these companies were trying to make their products as addictive as possible. So Facebook's like whole point now is like they figured out like how to make Facebook good, right? Like it's the same platform.
Yeah.
Share your pictures, whatever. But now it's like, how do we make it as addictive as possible so that we get people spending the most time on it as possible so that the ads that we can show people are like super relevant to them. Yeah. And so since this is something that I'm like all around, now it's totally changed my mind. So like literally starting yesterday, I put my phone on do not disturb mode for most of the day. So that way I had to check it. I don't know if you do something like that where you
at 10 p.m. my phone goes into do not disturb mode until 11 a.m. the next day. Yeah, it was interesting for me because I had a ton of people tell me I should watch it. Yeah, and I got like 5 minutes in, and I guess like I've just been in the field long enough that like it felt super obvious to me. It's so wrong. But it was like the time you spend on the app to make them more money was as addictive as possible. And that's why like they had all those things to like beat the algorithm, like don't log in on 3 devices at 2 times on Sunday afternoon. Like they had like everyone's got those gimmicks. If like post at 9:02 a.m. on Tuesday, it was like no, you need to do is make sure that people when they go to your post have to spend as much time as possible on it. So that's why like TikTok shows it in the perfect example. It's all the people that like flash up something on the screen to screenshot. Like
the big thing that they talk about too, because you're 100% right. Like I think the first key to all of this is figuring out what you catch yourself, right? So like for me, I was always like whenever I would go back home to Boston, you know, on my phone, like at the dinner table, or like I'd get a notification and be like, hold on, like, let me respond real quick. The problem with this is like, I think people feel like they're not actually affected by it, right? Like they're like, I'm not addicted, right? Or like, oh, well, even if I am addicted, like so is everyone else, it's not bad, whatever. Or it's not that big of a problem. But when you really analyze this, and this is what I wanted to actually talk about, the whole reason why this stuff is addictive is because of dopamine in the brain. Definitely. So it's all an addiction to dopamine, and it goes so much beyond like social media, but social media is the biggest one. Because this is literally like pervasive. If you look at your Instagram, okay, every time you scroll, you get new stuff. The UI for that is based off slot machines in Vegas. It's the same mental thing. Because every time you do it, you're like hitting your dopamine receptors with like a new dose. Same thing with like email. Even if you're on Gmail, every time you get a new email, it like comes up in bold, right? And you're like, oh, and I guess it depends on like the email app you use, but like, you know, here it'll pop up in bold and you're like, oh, and it's like a flash. Like, I don't know, it's weirdly like,
that makes sense. It's super satisfying.
You know what the other thing that I do is, if I don't read an email right away or I want to come back to it, I like leave it on red so it still has that like feel of boldness to it. Yeah. There's no good reason to do that. Yeah, I mean, maybe to keep track of it, but I could just star it. Good. So why am I, you know what I mean? So it's like all of these apps have their thing. The worst one is TikTok.
By far. That's what I was going to say.
Because it's dopamine like galore.
And its AI is so much better than every app. I go on Instagram and it's like, I don't know about you, but I'm on the like featured page on Instagram where it's not the people you follow. Right. 3% of my time on Instagram, if that. I am always on the For You page on TikTok. I don't even go to my following. Yeah, and look through
TikTok
my following.
Is nuts. TikTok is, you literally will find on TikTok some video, and if you don't want to watch it, hey, it's like, oh, no big deal, I'll just swipe past it.
So instant.
Each video, you're just constantly hitting yourself with something new. The dopamine rush is fresh every time, and they figured out so well, like you said, just how to give you that constant stream of dopamine. You're never not, and then
you can do it for hours. I spend an hour.
I spend an hour.
I also think one of the genius things that like super manipulative things that TikTok does. All the other social media apps, you can see here the time in the top corner. I preach this so often. TikTok, you can't see the clock.
Dude, it's like a casino. It's literally like because in casinos they turn off no clocks, no windows. You're like in there.
And it's the same thing. Like when I'm on Instagram, I'll like scroll for a little bit and I'll look up and be like, okay, it's 3:02. hard cutoff at 3:05. Like I'm getting off at 3:05, and 3:05 comes around, I close the app and I leave. TikTok, I'll like look over the clock and be like, oh, it's midnight. I should go to bed soon. Scroll and I look over and it's like, oh fuck, it's 3 a.m. Like I had no clue that
it's so
watched
bad.
2-second videos.
Well, so when I had COVID, I was sitting in bed and there was nothing else to do, and the only app that honestly could keep me entertained like all day was TikTok. Because at a certain point, Instagram, you're like, yeah, no one's posting anything anymore. Like, I've already seen it. And then all those pages that I follow just to, like, if they're, like, more artistic pages or photographers or people who are doing, like, adventurous stuff, like, you know, they're not always posting. TikTok literally will find me something that I'm, like, okay to watch, like, all the time. It's really always bad.
I think it's like a natural progression because like we know that Americans' attention span, the whole world's attention span is getting smaller and smaller. And then if you think about like nowadays the biggest YouTubers like David Dobrik, they're really like they're long form TikToks. They're 4 minutes of just like really quick stuff, clips. Short stuff. Like I don't want to see a 16-minute video anymore on YouTube. Because I think in my head 16 minutes way too much time to invest into a video. I don't want to. I'll watch 24-minute videos for an hour and a half. It's like, well, it's only 4 minutes. Okay, it's only 3 minutes.
Yeah, imagine if you had one video that was an hour, you never watch it, but you could watch an hour of one person's TikTok.
Could you imagine? Like, I could easily go on TikTok and spend an hour. Could you imagine going on YouTube and watching an hour-long video of TikToks? It would stress me out so much. It would be so much anxiety watching an hour of TikTok.
That's the thing, too. And so there's like two almost issues here, right? Because you have TikTok, which is like, you know, you have these apps, right, where you can get addicted to the app for sure.
Yeah.
But then you have your phone. And your phone is people are so totally addicted to their phones, even if you're not addicted to Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, but even if you don't spend a lot of time on these apps, because obviously this doesn't apply to everyone, right? There's some people that are like, I don't actually even use Instagram that much, or I don't even keep it on my phone. And when you told me that,
I don't have Instagram or TikTok on my phone. Yeah, I check Instagram for like 20 minutes a day now on my computer. Yeah. And I answer DMs. I'll go through and I'll look. Yeah. But I'm somebody that's been fighting my phone addiction for so long. So pre-quarantine, I had my daily phone time, not counting Google Maps, I'm 45 minutes a day on my phone.
Wow.
Which is like crazy. Granted, COVID and quarantine has ruined it up to like 4.5, which is still not even that bad compared to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But like, I'll also see the negative reverse side of not having the same addiction to my phone. Like I'm a terrible texter.
Yeah.
And the reason is I don't usually answer texts in the day unless they're super important. And at the end of the day, I really want them to go through and answer texts that like need a pertinent response of like, hey, can we do this at this time? That not like, yo, like that works for me. I like it, but like how many unanswered texts?
Yeah, like well that's the problem. The problem is when you get a text, that's the phone addiction where you like see it and you're like, oh, I gotta respond. Like
459 texts.
Oh my god.
Like, if you go up to like the ad, they got the different.
This is part of a series called Aiden's Good Ideas.
Yeah. Guys, fighting phone time, front page widget.
That's actually huge. So I just activated mine right after I watched this doc, right? And I activated screen time. I didn't even have screen time activated on my phone. Okay. So this is where I've gone. I've gone from 8.5 hours.
Oh my gosh.
To 4 hours, cut it in half yesterday. Today we're at 3:45. It's pretty good. And so here's what my biggest problem is? I am addicted to music. I listen to a lot of music. And so it's great that I have like Google to like, you know, I can just tell it to play music. But if I want to control like a playlist or songs, I have to get on my phone. And the problem is every time I pick it up, I'm like, oh, I'll just check this. And then I get a TikTok notification, and I'm like, what? You know, so
how many notifications do you have?
That's the other thing. I have to turn off some of these notifications because they will blast you when you haven't been on them in a while, and then they try to get you back on. So someone who thinks they're not addicted to their phone, this sounds like crazy talk, right? You're like, they're trying to get you back? Like, what are you talking about? Like, they're not trying to get me. It's like, no. They are.
They are
because
trying to get you back.
The thing is, your brain is addicted to the rush of when you get a new DM, you're like, oh,
great.
It's such a good feeling. Why? You're getting a message from someone. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it's a good feeling, but it's like it's not that good, and it doesn't serve. You should be able to be like, cool, I got a notification.
My issue with it all, which like was one of the like backbreaking things, if it's like I think it's fine having the dopamine rush when like nothing's going on, but like so many people like you'll go see like first date, it's like people are on their phone. It's like you have the dopamine in front of you to access, but it's a little bit more uncomfortable not behind the screen. So everyone would rather just text and be behind the screen because it gives that comfort shield.
There's so many elements to why your phone is addictive, but this is like definitely, for sure. Well, the other thing too is like imagine like the 80s or 70s, right before like technology was so pervasive, like you would get dopamine. You get dopamine from like everything in your life in different amounts, right? Your phone gives you like a lot at once, but like, you know, you might get dopamine from like driving your car fast in the 50s or 60s, right? Or you might get dopamine from like eating a good meal or something like that, right? But like now, when you become addicted to dopamine, people are like, okay, I'm addicted to dopamine, so what? I'm addicted to my phone, so what? Everyone is, it's always going to be like this, nah, 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 nah. The problem is, it makes it, and this brings it back to, I think, what we want to talk about mostly on here, which is like, it makes it less desirable for you to do things that are uncomfortable, or to do things that are, you know, not instant gratification, or do things that are seemingly difficult and hard and kind of like eating shit. Because what you're doing is your brain gets used to that dopamine hit. So doing anything that doesn't give you that hit of dopamine the same way, you're just not going to do it. Oh, I have to respond to like all these emails for work or something like that. Okay. You're not going to do that anymore because you could just sit on TikTok and get a dopamine rush. You know, you could hit your drug. So the problem is that causes a lot of like a negative feedback loop where like you don't want to do things that are uncomfortable, or you don't want to do things that are, you know. Yeah.
I mean, I think like two things I thought of when you're saying that. One, I think it's almost natural progression too. Like I remember as a kid, like mail was a huge dopamine, like getting a package or a letter. And now I find myself, like if I haven't gotten a package in a while, I'll start ordering stuff on Amazon. And I'll find it subconsciously, and it's become so normal to receive. I'm getting like 4 or 5 packages a week from Amazon on a normal basis.
But Amazon does the same thing with their phone too. They send you like the notification.
And they've got the re-ups.
Yep.
They'll like text me and be like, yo, doing it too. Based off your order preferences, you're out of Otter Pops. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have 3 Otter Pops left. Like, I need to re-up.
They know, and then you hit. And
it's literally like a dealer texting their.
Yeah, they're druggy. Yeah, that's it. And the thing is too is like, think about, if you look at Amazon, like I actually don't buy too much stuff from Amazon. I like to go into stores or buy online from the retailer, and I know like that's not like a lot of people buy on Amazon, like a lot of the time. So I get it. But if you do go into Amazon, so like just ordered a book from Amazon, if you go into Amazon and you look at how many buttons and interactive like elements there are, you could spend all day on Amazon not even buying things, just like tapping buttons and clicking. And so like they make it so easy just to spend time in Amazon because you're like, oh, maybe I'll just like switch this card out, or like maybe I'll browse similar. You know what I mean?
They've got the similar items. They've got
the same UI.
People don't want to go and do the uncomfortable thing now because it's so easy to watch other people live out their dreams. Like.
This is so huge.
Like back in the day, movie stars were so private. Everything was so private. Where now it's like again, David Dobrik, his comments are just flooded with, oh my gosh, I wish me and my friends did it. So much of this stuff, like granted, there's some crazy stuff where they fly to Vegas and bet $10,000 on black that you can't do. But like, you can go into Target and like make a scene with some friends.
Of course, they do it all the time.
That's fine. The only downside is like, to a lot of people, it's uncomfortable. But like, it's way easier to watch this person do it. It's the same thing with sports too. Like. Why invest hundreds of thousands of hours in becoming an athlete when I can just turn on my favorite team and I feel like I'm a part of the team and
but
making progress?
It's a cult thing, right? Like teams have cult fan followings. Celebrities and YouTubers and influencers, they all have these cult fan followings. And it's like, why? Okay, well you have some people that are like probably interested in the value they provide. Small percentage. It's a lot of people who are literally seeing this person and are kind of living vicariously through 100%. Them.
I think it's also part of just an absolute loneliness pandemic. Like,
for sure.
I think I was reading a stat that the average friend in America, the average person in America has less than one close friend that they can talk to about stuff. It's like, that's insane.
It's not good.
Obviously they're living vicariously through these people. Like, it's that human interaction, which I think is the bonus of OnlyFans, Twitch, like all those neurons. Why get a girlfriend? You can go on OnlyFans. Like, you can see people on Twitch and you can interact with them. YouTube, you can interact. I think that's why like modern TV is dying to some extent because there's no double interaction.
There's no like, it's not a collaborative space.
Exactly.
So, and that's why I'm like, I do feel positively about some social media in some way. I think it just has to be used the right way, right? It's a tool, and that's I think the mental shift you have to make, right? Like. You have to go from a place where you're saying, I'm okay scrolling through Instagram to see what everyone's up to, and just like keep refreshing it to just see what's going on, versus like computer time. Like your parents had computer time. It's the same thing. You got to go on, you got to send some DMs, you got to maybe respond to some comments, and then you're done. And if someone hits you up outside of that time and you think, okay, maybe you have the self-control to do it, cool. But if you don't, then just don't touch it. Just wait until the next time you can get on, you know? It's like logging in. That's the
Everything can wait a day. Tim Ferriss has this whole story about he doesn't answer emails when he's on trips. He doesn't answer texts when he's on trips.
Yeah.
And everyone's always responses, what if it's an emergency? And he says, guess what? When you stop answering messages, emergencies go away. The amount of actual emergencies, like I don't know how many emergencies that people reach out to that are like.
Chris Voss talks about it in that book too. He's like the number of things that people think are deadlines are.
There's no such thing as a hard deadline. There's no such. There are emergencies, but like there's maybe 10, 15 emergencies in your life that are like parents died. That's an emergency. Like
exactly.
But that's why I have my phone to text. Like and it's like the same thing. Like one of my favorite quotes is like, oh. If you have a problem with me, text me about it. If you don't have my number, then you don't know me well enough to have a problem with me. Same thing. If you have an emergency, text me.
Exactly.
If you don't have my number and have an emergency, you don't know me well enough to have an emergency with me.
Exactly. You're logged into everything on your phone. All your passwords are saved, and you're logged in. So when you open up Instagram, you're in.
Instant.
You open up Facebook, you're in. You open up anything, you're in, right? The problem is, like, back when those platforms were started, there was no such thing as saving passwords or keychains or anything like that. You had to log in each time, which, believe it or not, makes it a lot harder to become addicted to it.
You're just an extra step.
It's the extra step. Like, imagine how much of a pain in the actual ass it would be if you had to log into all your apps every single time.
Oh my gosh.
I wouldn't even use my phone.
No, it's literally the same.
So like, it's the same. Yeah, maybe that's the solution. I don't know.
A solution that I love that Thomas Bragg uses of Yes Theory, Reese Hopper, that one, Blunkett's manager, both have old iPhones that they used to use, and they have all their social medias on that, and it stays the bottom of the backpack. So if I want to check Instagram, I have to go get my backpack, go to the bottom of it, power on an old phone, and then I can get access to social media. But that's the whole point. It's like, then it's only if it's like an emergency thing. I have the same thing. Like I have it on my computer, so like if I'm like, oh, I should check Instagram, I don't have it on here.
Yeah, you have to like open a new tab.
Go to the Instagram website, open a new tab, sign into all my credentials, and do that. Or I just check it on my computer. Again, like 20 minutes a day. I'm curious how many notifications you can see, like the notifications and pickups.
So this is super interesting. So I did this the other day, or yesterday. I was looking. I had like 160 pickups yesterday. Oh. Is that a lot? I don't know. That sounds like a big number, but I don't know. Today, 3 hours, 47 minutes. I spent an hour and 25 in texting. An hour of my day. I didn't even realize this. I spent an hour today on texting. 20 minutes on Instagram. That's not bad. That is really good, actually. I'm proud of myself because now I'm conscious of it, right? Once you become conscious of a lot of these things, that's the first step, right?
So I had 46 pickups today.
Okay.
7 of my
122.
pickups. Okay, hit scroll down a little bit. Click, first, so after you 36 messages, they show you the amount of. Your first pickup was at 6:10. My first pickup was at midnight. I hadn't gone to bed. But then you can see what made you pick up stuff. So
messages, Spotify. So I pick up a lot on Spotify for.
So that's not bad.
That's not bad.
I mean, that just is probably opening up phone and changing song.
Going to Spotify. Oh yeah, so that's go to my So Instagram I had 7, Snapchat I had 5, messages 35. First pickup at 6:10 a.m.
Scroll down. I want to see then how many notifications. Messages, you got 53 notifications from messages. And how many did you pick up from?
35.
So that's like a good conversion rate. That's a 60% conversion rate.
So basically they ping me 50 times and I pick up 30.
Yeah, so.
Oh my gosh.
60% of the time the messages sends Josh a notification you pick up to answer it. Like, and it's so insightful.
This is great though. People don't look at their screen time.
I'm at 55% on messages picked up.
Like, if you're like a data nerd like me, and Aiden and I assume we're the same, like you look at this stuff and you're like, okay, put it into perspective of like a conversion rate, like you said, right? Like if you could convert a customer 60% of the time, you'd beat Amazon every single day.
If you could convert a customer at 20% conversion rate,
still be beating Amazon.
You'd rule the world.
You'd rule the world.
Be the richest person
so basically, they are ruling the world right
100%.
now. They're ruling your time. Your time is super valuable, so don't let your phone rule your time. This isn't. And I can't even say this like I know better because I'm literally still in the process. But the reason why it's so important is because if you're interested at doing any of the things you see on social media, you have to hate social media a little bit. You have to control it so much to the fact where, and you were saying this the other day, you take like cold showers in the morning and stuff like that. It's like the same thing, right? It's dopamine resetting because when you step into a super hot shower, you're getting flooded with dopamine. If you take a cold shower, now take one hot shower. It's going to feel great. It's like you reset your levels.
Somebody just showed me at lunch today a David Goggins video where he's running, and he talked about how in military training, after they were on like these crazy long runs, like once they're closing into the end, you could tell people start getting excited. Yeah. And as soon as the lieutenants and sergeants would figure out they're getting excited, they just would run straight through the finish line. Yep. And he's like, that's the thing. You have to want to just keep running. You have to want them to stop. You have to want the shower water to be ice cold. You have to want no messages.
You have to retrain your brain. Probably been doing it for like almost a year, but like hardcore, I've been doing it for like 4 or 5 months now. If you are, and now within even like the past week, I've been doing it like 150%. Yeah. You really, it's an active process of loving things that kind of suck. And once you get into that mindset, like Gary Vee talks about this all the time, like you have to eat enjoy doing it for you to really end up like, and if you're doing what you love, then you're in the right spot. Or even like, there's this guy on fitness that I follow, Nick Bear. He's just like this insane dude who pushes his body to the most insane limits. The reason he can do it is because his thing is embrace the suck, right? Like that's his goal. He wants to embrace the suck, not like say this sucks, so I'm gonna get through it. It's like this sucks and I want to do it.
That's like you can retrain your brain to do that. It's like so many people ride on hope things are gonna get better. Hope, don't ride on hope. Like want to go through the suck, want to eat the another thing that I used to do that used to help so much with phone time is you can set it so if you triple press your phone, it goes to black and white, and that's huge because you get so much dopamine from color and the black and white. Like you go on Instagram when it's in black and white mode, I guarantee you're gonna hate the app within 4 minutes. It's just boring. It's annoying. Same thing with TikTok. Like makes everything less satisfying.
You're so right. Well, so the thing is, when you look at your screen, like I don't know, like I have a ton of apps here, but it's like whoa, like your eyes are like. You're like,
all
whoa.
the notifications are big red bubbles, circles, like they're an issue.
And look at Instagram, look at Instagram's. Just take a look at Instagram's icon. Do you remember what it used to be? It used to be like a picture of like a camera.
Yeah, it was like an old school camera.
I remember when it was the camera. Yeah. Now it's like this beautiful like purple and orange like gradient that makes you just like want to get in there and see that aura.
It's also similar color to the notifications.
It's like it kind of just like everything goes well together. That's done on purpose. It's like, this is very 100%. Much done on purpose. And if you think it's not done on purpose, you have to remember, these are billion-dollar companies. Every single decision they make is driven by data. Everything they do is driven by data. If they know, they test this stuff. I remember, like, maybe 2 years ago, I was sitting at home, and I opened up Instagram, and I remember for, like, a second, they changed it to be swiping. Do you remember this? Did you ever see this? They changed the entire layout for, like, a day, maybe a matter of hours, to be swiping. And the whole reason they did this was to probably test out what works.
Oh, they're testing
and
all the
clearly
time.
It didn't work well at all.
I mean, even just a little bit ago, they're like, we're getting rid of likes. We're just going to make it you and others. Yeah. They sent it to a couple accounts. One of my accounts says the others. They're not sending it to the big accounts because it reduces usage time.
I also don't get
so less addictive to see you and others. I want to see how many people like the photo.
Yeah, and I want to see who they were too.
I want to look through who they were. Like,
of course. And the other thing is too, like I don't get ads on my Instagram. I think I'm like one of the only people I know that doesn't receive ads. No ads. I do not get ads. So if Instagram sees that, like I'm probably now going to get ads, but I literally don't get ads on my main account. It could be. Is it because maybe I like follow enough like accounts where they're brands and stuff, so they're like, it doesn't need advertising. He already follows everyone that we.
I might because I don't get them a lot. Yeah. I think it might be one of my issues. I worked with this company, Feet. They studies for a long time, and it started to be every ad I would ever get was Feet. Because I spent.
Did you like tell them like I'm not interested on the ad?
No, I just kept it, but then I just slowly started getting them less and less and less, and I think they just learned that I'm not a good customer for Feet.
Fair enough.
So they stopped trying me.
Like, I still get them
sometimes, but not often. Yeah.
He only worked for you guys, but he actually hates it. Yeah.
That's all I wear is their Swiss.
Insane. Well, dude, I think this
was sick. That was
good. This was really good. Super great. Like such a good conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah.